I'd like to introduce Vince Papale.
Philadelphia, it's the city of brotherly love with a tough personality. A place that believes if you get knocked down, you better get up and knock someone else down. Philadelphia is also a place that loves its football team, the Eagles. This is the story about one very unusual football fan, a man who overcame huge odds to become a part of that team. A blue-collar kid who made the Eagles roster at the age of 30, becoming the oldest rookie at the time. In 1976, after losing his job and his marriage, 30-year-old Vince Papale, a die-hard season ticket holder, tried out for his team. Could a man his age actually begin an NFL pro football career? It was unheard of and never happened before. No one believed he could do it. No one, that is, except Vince. For a 3-year period, Vince Papale overcame every obstacle in his path, and in doing that, he became Philadelphia's hometown hero. A man who was the definition of invincible. His amazing entry into the game and the effect that story had on his hometown became the stuff of legend. So much that, years later, his career became the subject of a major motion picture starring Mark Wahlberg. This is the true story of Vince Papale, a Philadelphia icon who never gave up on his dreams and inspired a city to chase theirs. A man who refused to be conquered, defeated, or subdued. A man who truly is invincible.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Steve, very much. Thank you very much. Y'all having a good time? Yeah? Did your team win last night? No? Yeah. I got one of those big no's, too. Man, do we have any Eagles fans still left after last night? All right, there we go. Fly, Eagles, fly, right? I know, old Brad, he's feeling real good about his Falcons, but hey, this is great to be here, and thank you so much, Steve, to be a part of this with your team and everybody that's there. You know, you're an invincible team, and this is what it's all about. It's all coming together as one. And we had a great dinner last night, and one of the things that Steve had said, he said, I would rather die before I failed. I mean, you know, think about that. You know, you're into your 90th year. Happy 90th. We're everybody here, so happy 90th birthday, you know, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it. But we were talking about dreams last night, you know, and I had this crazy dream that someday I'd be a Philadelphia Eagle. Anybody got a crazy dream that someday they would do something nuts? And people would tell you there's no way, right? There's no way it's going to do well. We're going to show you the way and going to set your hair on fire and cause a wreck, hopefully, and talk about your invincible moment, your invincible journey. You know, what's your Mount Everest? Have you thought about it? When you had that dream, did people tell you that you're a little bit off the rocker? You know, well, they told me that was going on in 1976. And I would say it's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. And that dream came true. When someday I wanted to be a Philadelphia Eagle, but no, you can't do it, man. It's never been done before. You're 30 years old. You didn't play college football. What do you want, you know? I mean, and I was just teaching school, having a good time. And so that dream came true, and they made a movie about it, Invincible. How many people saw Invincible? Yeah. All right, good. And how many haven't seen the movie? Oh, yeah, no, we're not cheering on that one, are we? All right, how many saw Rudy, by the way? All right, oh, yeah, there we go, good. Rocky, I mean, we've all seen Rocky. All right, if you saw the movie Invincible, I've only seen it about 150 times. But if I've seen the movie Invincible, I mean, did anybody cry when they saw it? Yeah, there's a couple people cry. I know I met a couple people yesterday said they cried. Hey, you know what invincible is? Invincible is like that invincible journey that you have. It's when you do the impossible, when you do the impossible, you make it possible. When you do the unthinkable, and you make it thinkable. And every time I see the movie, I cry. This is what it's about. See, Invincible is your movie. And think about this. Your movie came out 13 years ago. We're celebrating our 13th year anniversary. Came out 13 years ago, ran #1 at the box office for 2 weeks. #1 in the box office. It's done $1 billion. Your movie has done $1 billion. Let me tell you why I cry. I get no residuals whatsoever. It's not a stinking residual. So, and then we have Mark Wahlberg. He stayed here. He stayed at the, I was texting him yesterday. I said, what'd you find? Anything? You find something weird up there in that Michael Jackson suite? But, you know, geez, you know, elephants or giraffes or something, who knows? But, hey, so, you know, we're a big family here, and we're an Invincible family. We're a Disney family. It's pretty cool. And, you know, a couple people said, how'd the movie get started? Well, it got started because of this guy called Rocky. And Rocky was turning 25 back in 2002. So they decided to do a feature on Monday Night Football. And I was the guy they featured, which was really cool, you know. And, like, I didn't even know that Sylvester Stallone knew who I was. I heard he was actually pissed off at me at one point because they kept calling me the real-life Rocky. I mean, you know, I had nothing to do with it. You know, I just was out there trying to prove a point a little bit to people that told me I couldn't do it. But they showed that feature in 2002, and wouldn't you know it, the next day Hollywood came calling. I mean, it's so cool. Does anybody have a movie made about him here in the room? No? I mean, you got all this technology, for crying out loud. You got to have a YouTube or something, right? Yeah, I know a couple of people have something out there like that. Well, that's what happened. So 2002, they started doing a movie, and all of a sudden, 2004, Mark Wahlberg becomes my little brother, and it comes out in 2006, and we chased, and we got that $1 billion, you know. So it was a pretty cool experience. And, you know, we all, at some point, we're all sort of contenders, aren't we? And I love this quote here by Sylvester Stallone, and it's very simple. It says, every champion was once a contender that refused to give up. You know, it's just like Steve and everybody here. You know, he'd rather die before he's going to fail. I mean, that's a little bit, but, you know, that's what it's about, and that's what you're all about. How many times have you reinvented yourself? How many times did you change paths? Did you always go in a straight line? Nobody ever goes in a straight line, do they? All over the place. And that's what it's about. You know, it's all about being that contender that refuses to give up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a little bit about where I came from, my past. It's pretty crazy. And so I hope this video does it well. It was done by EPK, Electronic Press Kit by Walt Disney. Hope you like it. It's called I Am Invincible, and we'll be right back.
Hey, camera Mark! Mark, can I see his position for a moment?
Everybody who's a Philadelphia Eagle fan who lives in the city knows who Vince Papale is.
To Vince Papale, neighborhood boy.
First of all, imagine what's going through my head, knowing that a movie's being made about me. I mean, how great is that?
This guy from the 700 level, he came running down the stairs and tackled everybody.
Special teams is an attitude, and Vince personified that.
It's all about his heart and his willingness to sacrifice himself for something that he ultimately just enjoys to do.
I couldn't be more happy to have Mark Wahlberg playing me. It's just pure passion and enthusiasm.
To overcome all those things and really seeing the effect, this guy had on the town. That's why we're making a movie about it. I mean, it's that impossible.
He played like a guy who had been handed his dream. But however long it was going to last, when it was over, he didn't want to walk away and regret a second of it. You had to be invincible to do what this guy did.
He was invincible.
He is invincible.
I am invincible, and this is my story.
They made me say that. I hope you like it. That was done by Walt Disney EPK. Thank you very much. So, for those of you who are football aficionados, I did not get called for spearing on that guy, Almost broke my neck, for crying out loud. I was going after his ribs. Boy, I don't know, has the game changed a little bit now? You just about challenge anything and everything. Anyway, this is where I came from. Hey, ladies, see that woman up there? That's my mom. Elmira Elizabeth Stage, 1937, one of 9. She played professional baseball, and they called her Big Al. She played shortstop. Look at how beautiful she is. High cheekbones, English descent, one of 9. Never got beyond the 8th grade. Those women back there were so tough they wore cuffs in 1937. That was my mom. And then my dad, we're talking to Mark last night, and Mark, your harmonica's up there. I did not put it down on the floor. So we're talking to Mark last night. Mark, he has a farming background. That same thing for me. That guy in the middle, that's my dad. His name was Kingy. Well, his real name was Francis. They called him Frank. They called him Kingy. He was the king of the hill. He was the toughest guy in the neighborhood. And what you see behind him is a Model A or a Model T Ford. I can't quite figure it out. There was no running water. And there was an outhouse back there, and that building that you see over his shoulders, that's a pigsty. That's a pigsty, because my grandfather was a pig farmer. And what they did is they would get, and Brad, you would appreciate this. Remember back in the day, you're too young, but remember back in the day you had garbage cans, and you put the garbage can out in the front, and then maybe on a Thursday, the whole neighborhood smelled, right? And when I grew up in this little housing project, they put the garbage can, they did dump the garbage can over the truck, and guess where the truck would go to? My grandfather's farm. So it didn't smell rosy, that's for sure. But I was always, my grandfather, he'd get so pissed off at me. I would always be shooting, BB guns, because nothing with a BB gun couldn't hurt a pigskin. They're so tough. And then he would come running out. He looked like Yosemite Sam. He had more hair coming out of his ears and his nose than he had on his head, right? And he had bow legs. He came from Naples, when he was about 5 feet 2 inches tall. And he had this Italian accent. And he said, "Oh, Vincenzo, you freaking a chooch," And I thought, I thought chooch was a really nice thing to call somebody. I found out it was Italian for jackass, But that was my grandfather. That's where I came from. They got married in 1940. My mom and dad never got beyond the 8th grade because of the Great Depression, World War II. And, Kingy, he went, my mom was she was a domestic engineer, the housewife. There's no dryers there, nothing's automatic. Back then, you're lucky if you had a washer that worked. If you needed a part, you would go to the junkyard. I mean, that's what it was all about, and that's what I came from. They got married in 1940. They begat me in 1946. You can do the math. That's my house that you're looking at right there. Check that out. Looks like a Monopoly house, doesn't it? That's the neighborhood that we grew up in. So, and in the middle there, our house was scattered somewhere there, and that's where I was. But you see that yellow arrow? That yellow arrow, that was my field of dreams. Anybody here have a field of dreams? That was the field of dreams where I wound up and I started playing football. I wanted to play football in the worst way. I had this guy. Any Oklahoma fans, Oklahoma Sooner fans here? Couple? All right. Anyway, there was this guy that played for Oklahoma. Eventually, he wound up in the Hall of Fame from the Philadelphia Eagles. His name was Tommy McDonald. And he was my idol, the little guy, because I was a runt. I was 14 years old, weighed about 85 pounds, 4 feet 10 inches tall. And Tommy was my guy. And I wanted to play football in the worst way, but we had a problem, a real big problem. We didn't have a football team in the neighborhood. We had nothing in this neighborhood. We had a beautiful park, but there was no football team. So guess what? This guy named my dad, Kingy, the guy in the middle, I think he was doing a Cam Newton imitation with his hat that he has on there, And there's Kingy. He started the team, and it was called the Glendale Indians, and that's where I played. Can anybody find me? Anybody find me? Upper left, right up here. See that? The buzz cuts were there. The guy next to me, he turned out to be one of the best orthopedic surgeons in the Delaware Valley, right by the Philadelphia area. How many volunteers are there here in the room? How many volunteers do we have to do something in the community? Come on, raise your hands. Let me see what you got. Yeah, look, you're all volunteers. Oh, by the way, is anybody from the military in the room? First responders, law enforcement. If you are, would you please stand up? Come on, please. Thank you. Thank you. Boy, there it is. Thank you very much for keeping the dream alive, and that's what it's all about. And here were these 3 men that helped keep our dream alive, that someday we'd be a Philadelphia Eagle, and of course they wound up, and I wound up making the team. You sort of know that. I mean, that's already given. They made the movie, for crying out loud. And then, this thing comes along. But the thing I think that I like about our movie, when people are telling you can't do it, I like about it is the impact. and I thought I might show you, the impact that you make on people. Imagine the impact that technology is making on the world right now. And you talk about artificial intelligence. When Siri is smarter than me, I got a real problem, And Siri started talking to me this morning. I was worried because I wasn't asking anything for her. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the, hey, what's up? There's a problem here. I said, oh, this is scary. Who's listening to me now? But, it's all about the impact and the impact that you're making on people's lives to make it easier for them to navigate through all the things that are going on there, especially with the point of sale and those kinds of things. And it's just insane what's going on right now with what can be done with the technology. But this is impact. Does anybody here have a football card made about them? Any kind of a card? Yeah, a birthday card, right? We've had them, but some kind. So there's this kid in the neighborhood. His name's Salvatore, right? And a little wise guy Philly kid, when he comes up, he says, yo, Vinny. He says, guess what? He says, I got your football card here. And he said, that thing's only worth about 15 cents. I said, what? He said, 15 cents. Well, guess what? Since the movie came out on eBay, check it out, $25, baby, $25. 25. So when I see little Salvi, yo, Salvi, what do you think of me now? That kind of a thing. But, it's all about impact. And then the other thing is, some people have used the movie as a motivational tool for, taking them to the next level. So a couple of years ago, there was a football game. It was David versus Goliath. And Goliath happened to be Michigan, and David was Appalachian State. So what movie? We got an App State, somebody here? All right, great. So anyway, so Appalachian State, of course, beats Michigan, for crying out loud. This ain't supposed to happen. It was almost like Army almost beat Michigan a couple weeks ago, right? So you know what movie they watched? No, man, they didn't watch Rudy. They did not watch Rudy, for crying out loud. Rudy. Jesus, one freaking tackle. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. I mean, I'm just kidding. Rudy's my buddy. He knows I do this to him. So he does. He really does. It's cool. They watched our movie. They watched Invincible. You know what Michigan watched? Titanic, for crying out loud. Yeah. So when you're doing your motivational meetings and Mark, and the guys, hey, how about Captain Jack, man? Is he a captain? You all know Jack, right? Jack's been my handler while we were here. Did you know he was a NASCAR guy? He's going to get pissed off that I said that. I broke it out. But and the number on his car was 0. And I did a little stuff with NASCAR. But anyway, it's all about impact, and that's what we're about, So now, here's the deal. For those of you who have not seen the movie, I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler. I made the team, and eventually, after about 15 or 20 years of searching all over the world, I finally got the lady. So, that's the spoiler. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to click out, and I'm going to play the trailer of the movie. I hope you like it. There's a scene in the movie, in the trailer, right toward the end, that brings me to tears all the time, because there's a little boy that's running out in front of the car to pick up a football. And I get, a little bit nervous because I thought he was going to get hit by a car. But that little boy is our son, Vinny, who was 7 years old at the time, and now he's 22, taking his shot in the NFL. So I hope you like it, and here's a trailer to the movie.
Every Sunday, millions of fans experience the power and rush of NFL football. But in 1976,
Mighty Eagles, killing me!
for the Philadelphia Eagles and a fan named Vince Papale,
Vince, we've had some rough times, you and me.
Oh, things are going to turn around.
it was time to do something
Welcome the new head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Mr. Dick Vermeil.
that had never been done before.
This coming Saturday, Philadelphia Eagles will hold open tryouts.
Now,
You gotta try out this weekend.
Nobody's trying out.
He's 30 years old for one thing.
the Eagles' biggest fan
So the one where Vince runs around everyone.
is about to take a shot at a dream.
Even if you're down there for 1 hour, you're down there.
What brings you out here? Would be an Eagle, baby!
How we doing, AC?
I've seen glaciers move faster.
Where'd you play your college ball?
I didn't play college ball.
You mind me asking how old you are?
If you don't mind me asking how old you are, Coach.
Shocking news from today's tryout. The Eagles have decided to invite one man to training camp, Philly's own Vince Papale.
In 1976,
To make this roster, you must throw away all fear.
a 30-year-old bartender
Excuse me, my name is spelled wrong.
Nothing personal. But is it really gonna matter?
who played only 1 year of high school football
You ain't going nowhere!
tried to become the NFL's most unlikely rookie.
How am I supposed to run all this?
You can't wear quarterback pads. You won't last a week wearing those.
Nothing personal. Is it really gonna matter?
Inspired by the incredible true story.
To Vincent!
You need to show me more than that, Papale!
This summer,
You have a story, my friend.
one man is pursuing
There he is.
an entire city's dreams.
Papale is not making this team, and I am not going to be the laughingstock among the owners.
When I told you not to get your hopes up, didn't mean that I wasn't.
Mark Wahlberg, Greg Kinnear,
Let's go to work.
Invincible.
There we go, 13 years, so that's your story right there. Thank you. That was pretty cool. We broke that out. They wouldn't let me see the trailer. We broke that out in New York City in the draft back there in 2006, which was pretty cool. And was with Greg Kinnear and Mark. It was pretty fun, you know. And when I saw that for the first time, it just gave me goose pimples and cheers. Tears. It's so cool. You can't even imagine. Hey, does anybody remember this magazine called Mad Magazine? Yeah. All right. And and they had this feature in Mad Magazine, which was really cool. It was called Spy versus Spy, right? You know, the good guy versus the bad guy. And so I sort of have a little spy versus spy thing because everybody asks, they said, hey, Vince, we'll stay on this slide for a second. And they say, hey, Vince, you know, how real is the movie? You know, how true is the movie? So I decided I'm going to tell you all about that, you know, right, with this real versus real, you know, and the R-E-A-L and the R-E-E-L. So the real versus real. You know, first of all, when they make a movie about you, understand that it's what they call, if it's about you, it's a docu-pic. You know, it's not a documentary. So they're going to mess around a little bit. You know, they're going to change timelines. They're going to do this or that. So I'll tell you, I'll sort of give you an overview of whatever. And then if anybody else wants to know the real thing, you see me on the street tonight, because we're going to be hanging around, I'll tell you the real story that I can't tell because it's probably on tape and I don't want it to get out. So, but here we go. So this is it. You know, the first is, you know, I've already said how true is a movie. It captured the journey, and that's what we really wanted it to do. Our journey to doing the impossible when people said it can't be done for whatever reason. And I'm going to get into that in a second because we've already done that. And the other one is, hey, is your wife still a Giants fan? Really? You know, any Giants fans here? All right. So what's the dad? You know, Eli, yes, no, maybe so. Anyway, so any Cowboys fans here, by the way? Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, I should have seen, you know, they're all flannel and they got their frickin' star, you know, and they get tattoos on their forehead and the whole thing. So where were we? All right, so is your wife still a Giant? Look at me, man. I grew up as an Eagle fan my entire life. You've sliced me right now, I'd still bleed green. You know, I'm bleeding a little bit from after last night's loss. You'd have to give me a lobotomy to even think about dating a Giants fan, for crying out loud, let alone marrying one. So let me tell you a little bit about Janet's background here, and she's in the audience. I'll introduce you in a second. Some of you met her last night. Janet was 1 of 9. There's a picture on the bottom, and that's Janet right on the floor. She was the fixer. She's the fixer of the family, still is, and her mother is still with us, and her father passed away a couple years ago. Great guy. He was a veteran in the Navy, so really a beautiful family, and Janet's the one. And she was played by Elizabeth Banks, so there's our daughter Gabrielle with Elizabeth Banks, and if you ever saw Hunger Games, she was Effie in Hunger Games, you know. And the real cool thing is Janet was the youngest head coach in Division I NCAA history when at the age of 21, she became the head gymnastics coach at the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school. Now, how did somebody who was a bartender, she wasn't a bartender, and a Giants fan ever reinvent herself to becoming a coach? Well, that's pretty cool because her background was in gymnastics. That's Janet right there at the Olympic trials in Dallas prior to the Olympic Games. That was the Munich Games. Remember the Munich Games. And Janet was on that team. She didn't compete because of an injury, but she was a member of the U.S. World Gymnastics team. So I'd like to introduce to you my beautiful wife, Janet. She's right in the middle, so Janet, stand up and say hi. That's her. She's my boss. Yeah, I think she'll still do a split, but there it is. And, there's her jersey right behind me, and that's the jersey I wore. I wore good old number 83. But, how cool is that? USA, wearing USA. I mean, I was just a Philadelphia Eagle. So, the deal with me, the movie had me as a part-time bartender, substitute teacher. I was actually a full-time school teacher in my alma mater in suburban Philadelphia, right by the Philly airport. If you've ever been there, you go south about 10 miles, boop, and there you go. You run right in it, run into that bar, Max's. It's a real bar. It's all there. That's a gift that was given to me. You see right there, that cake was given to me back then when I decided to take a shot at the dream back in 1976. What'd you think of the hair? I mean, that hair, that was pretty badass, wasn't it? Back in the day, they used to perm it a little bit. I actually did that perm thing that one time. Oh, geez, oh man. And unibrows were really big back then, as were Madras belts and bell bottoms, And I was actually teaching at my alma mater, Interboro High School, head track coach, assistant football coach, coming out of St. Joseph's College as a pole vaulter on a scholarship. And that's what I did, and it was just the greatest thing in the world. And I decided, hey, I'm going to take a shot. I got the opportunity. I was a season ticket holder for 10 years. There's all the goofballs that I had season tickets with. This guy right here, he's portrayed in the movie as Johnny. I won't tell you his real name. He just disappeared from my life. He never got over it. I can't figure out why, because I get that question a lot. Hey, are those guys really your guys? There they are, a couple of my coaches. Played for Max's, did that rough touch thing. Did not play in that mud game, if you saw. I would never do that before a game. I was crazy, though. And I think that was my school picture when I was in 9th grade. And again, the buzz cuts were there, and you could see that the unibrow, I got rid of it. I shaved it, so did that. But, and the smile on my face I have there is because I'm at the Eagles training camp. I'm given the opportunity of a lifetime, and that's what it's all about. And the guy I'm smiling to is my dad. My dad, who would come to every practice in his Westinghouse blues, and you see him in that blue outfit, and you see Kingy on there, and that was my dad, and that's why I was smiling. It was so cool. But when you have that dream and you want to go somewhere, you ain't going nowhere unless you get that opportunity, right? And I was given the opportunity of a lifetime by the guy in the upper left-hand corner. That's Coach Dick Vermeil. He decided to come into Philadelphia in '76 and have an unprecedented free agent tryout. Why would you do that? He took everybody here in this room and said, I'm going to see if I can find that one person that's going to be a spark to the team. Is he the first guy to do that? No, because it was done by his mentor, George Allen, by the Washington Redskins a few years before, and they extracted this one guy who did play college football. His name was Herb Mulkey, and he went out to be a special team star. But Coach just wanted to shake some things up, and he decided to have this tryout. So what you saw in the trailer, that's basically the way it was. They had all sizes and shapes, and for you Philly fans, Philadelphia is known for cheesesteaks, right? So one of the guys, and really lousy fans too, that's what they always say. But the one guy that got knocked on his butt with a green cape, that was Tony Luke, one of the best cheese places, you can say, what I'm trying to say in Philadelphia. Hey, he's one of those, all right? So there it is, So I got the opportunity of a lifetime. It was given to me by Dick Vermeil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to 1976, and we're going to capture this Rocky theme. And then right at the very end, we're going to have Dick Vermeil come out, and he's going to do an impersonation of Steve. And he's going to tell you as a team exactly what it takes to get to the next level, because no matter where you are and whatever you're doing, you're always in a state of transition. I sat back there for 15 minutes and listening to all the new things that are happening. Because if you're not adaptable to change, and if you can't have agility in everything and anything that you're doing, and I'm not talking about this kind of agility, I'm talking about agility that you have with your mind and also with your products and all the things that you do and how do you present yourself. And that's where Vermeil, and there's a bunch of really cool points that he talks about when he's talking to us and you as a team. So I hope you like it. It's called Vermeil 76. And after that, I think I'll tell you a little bit about my buddy Mark Wahlberg. I hope you like that. So here we go.
Perhaps Philadelphia's most interesting tale was a little one, the saga of Rocky Balboa. Rocky was a ham and eggs boxer from South Philly who had just one goal, a chance to compete against the very best so that he could measure himself as a man. Rocky's story paralleled another group of city athletes, the Philadelphia Eagles. These men, like Rocky, were not always the most gifted players in the game, but in their first season under coach Dick Vermeil, they had something to prove, that they could do battle against anyone in football and come away with their heads held high. Outmanned but never out-hustled, the Eagles created their own spirit of '76. From this would come a story that they could look upon with encouragement and pride.
All right, here comes Coach Vermeil.
Gentlemen, the Philadelphia Eagles brought you here for one reason, to provide you with an opportunity to make an NFL football team. I hope to heck you're prepared to take advantage of this opportunity. The Philadelphia fans are the most loyal fans in the country, and they deserve the best. We're going to work you hard, teach you, and demand a lot of you physically. The Eagles will never be taken for granted this season, and you have approximately 5 to 6 weeks to prove whether you can play in this league. Best of luck.
Yeah, best of luck. Our training camp was 8 weeks. It started on July 3rd in 1976. We were in practice, and there were a whole bunch of planes and stuff flying over us, biplanes and everything, because they were celebrating the bicentennial of the United States of America in Philadelphia. And Coach was all confused. He didn't understand what all the commotion was. He was so intense in what he was doing, he didn't realize it was 4th of July weekend. You know, would you please knock down the noise? I mean, he was really into what he was doing. And he has these Vermeilisms. And, you know, one of them is, look at the top one there, you know, nobody ever drowned in sweat. I mean, how sick is that? That is so sadistic. And we would be together as a team, and that was, and now you're going out in full pads. It's nothing like what they do now, the country club training camps they have now. We're in full pads the whole time, going full tempo, thud tempo. And there's sign as you walk out of the locker room, nobody ever drowned in sweat. So we would all get together and we huddled together and we pretend we were a bunch of cows. And we'd be walking, and then, you know, somebody would say, you know what, he can kill us, but he can't eat us, right? So that was the Dick Vermeil that we had back then. And then this one sort of applies to you, you know. It's don't overload your mouth with your butt. You know, I mean, we get that all the time out of Washington, so we don't have to worry about that. But the thing that you got going on right here is with you and technology, and especially with those that don't understand how intense technology is and the things that you do, that, you know, when you're talking the talk, you better be able to make sure you walk the walk and be very careful about what you say. So back then, this statement was about us talking to the press, but right now when I go out and I talk to kids or anyone else, be really careful about what you're doing in social media. Because I volunteered for high school football when my son was playing high school football. And the head coach is one of the top guys in the FBI at that time. And he would try to tell the kids, he says, nothing is deletable. Nothing is deletable. And let you know, bitwash it or do whatever it is. But, you know, nothing is deletable. And it's always going to come back to haunt you. And it's exactly what you were talking about, that, you know, now you want integrity, right? So make sure you have that integrity and be very careful of it. But this is what it's all about, man. An opportunity is worth to you exactly what your preparation enables you to make it, the preparation that you put into it. And I figured if I'm going to take a shot at it, I'm going to just give it everything I have. I've got nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose. So, you know, I had this one guy, because we were talking again last night at dinner about these things called mentor. Have you thought, who's the most important person in your life, and why are you where you got? Was it a coach? How many people have been by either a coach or a teacher has made a tremendous impact on their life? All right, yeah, there you go. And if you have any coaches and teachers here, we've all had that person in your hope. And you would think that some of the things that they taught back then are applying right now. And I wish they would go back to some of the retro and the old school stuff and teach them in the schools right now, you know. But I had this one guy that was my coach, and he was my high school coach, and he was my first gym teacher. In 7th grade, he's the guy that taught me that I didn't wear black socks to phys ed, right? And you didn't wear those same black socks in the class the next time. You actually took showers. you know, after you did, and you know, this thing called phys ed, I don't even know if they have it anymore. But that was my guy, and then he becomes my football coach. I'm a senior, and everybody told me I was too small, about 5'6", 5'7", weigh 165, 170 pounds. And he says, hey, Vin, come on out for the football team. I said, really? He just came up to the high school now. I went from the junior high to the high school. I said, you're going to let me play? I says, I tried to go out before. Everybody told me I couldn't play. I was too small. I'd get killed. And he says, no. He says, I want you to play. You'll play somehow, some way. And I said, why would you do that? He says, well, you know, I told you I'd take care of you. Because back in the day, when I really needed somebody in my life, my father was doing all this stuff at Westinghouse. I'm coming home from school one day, and I see an ambulance out in front of my house, and I'm thinking, this isn't good, because there's a lot of arguing going on. And as I see this woman, remember that woman that I showed you earlier? That it was a beautiful, Big Al? That was my mom. They took her out in a straitjacket. She was having her first nervous breakdown. So they gave her electric shock, you know, took her to a mental hospital. I'd go and visit her at the mental hospital, and I'm 12, 13, 14 years old, just coming apart at the seams. She has another nervous breakdown. This time they'll give her insulin shock. So they tried everything, you know, even placebos didn't work, for crying out loud, you know. And eventually, my mom was a prescription drug addict and an alcoholic as I'm growing and going through my junior and high school years and, you know, the formative years. And my father was so intent. Westinghouse was always on strike. You know, so he was running at gas station, pumping gas, you know, driving trucks, whatever it did to put food on the table. All our insurance was shot. And this guy is the guy that stood by me. And he gives me that shot again when I'm a senior in high school, you know, and now I'm going to go to college. I have no idea how I'm going to pay for it, but I'm going to go to college, was applied. And I go out for the football team, and I wound up honorable mention All Delco, which, and nobody knows what that is, but to me it was a big deal. So then he says, well, come on out for the track team. And I said, all right, I'll come out for the track team. And because I'm going to try to get in shape, because I was invited to the freshman camp at Westchester College. So I go out for the track team, and he says, what do you want to do? I says, I'll pole vault. He says, you ever pole vault before? I said, oh, yeah. And the project where I grew up, we had a creek in the back called Muckinapannis Creek. And what I do was I would pole vault from one bank over to the other bank with a bamboo pole. And that's what I did. And I pole vaulted over, and when you know it, on Father's Day, that going from there on Father's Day in 1964, I vaulted 14 feet 6 inches, and the world's record was 16 feet. Now, that might not mean anything, but what it did is I beat all these guys that were given scholarships over me when I went out and auditioned to these colleges in Philadelphia. All the scholarships were gone. And this guy, Lou Nicastro from St. Joe's, comes up and he offers me this scholarship. It's Father's Day, 1964, and my dad's there. And I get the gold medal. It's called the Meet of Champions in Philadelphia. And I look at my dad and I said, Dad, look at this. We're going to college, man, and it's not going to cost us anything. And for the first time in my life, my father hugged me, started crying, and he told me that he loved me. My father never told me that he loved me. And you know, you saw the movie. That guy you saw in the movie, we were the best of friends until the very end. And I could never have done it without my dad and his support there. My mom continued to do what she did and eventually passed on Christmas Day in 1990. But my dad was all the way there through me on everything I was doing. My poor mom, she could never get out of the house and come watch me play, which was sad. But she saw a little bit, later on. But there it is, and it's all because of that guy. So now it's 1976, and I'm trying out for the team, and I say, everybody's busting me pretty good. Can't do it, man. You're 30 years old. It's never happened before. You didn't play college football, blah, 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 blah. We've all had that said to us sometime when we've had that big dream. So what he does, he gives me this quote. So when I was talking about last night, Steve, there it is, buddy. Happy are those who dream dreams that are willing to pay the price to make their dreams come true. What's the key phrase in there? Yeah, willingness to pay the price. And if you're not willing to pay the price, you're a poser. Forget about it. That's what it's all about. So, hey, I was willing to pay the price, and guess what? I made the team. So when you have those big, crazy dreams, and I know we've all had it, you're going to reinvent yourself, you're going to do this, you're going to change jobs, whatever it might be. People are going to try to kill that dream for you. And these are a few of the things that I went through with the Eagles, and I know a lot of people go through sometimes when they're just going through life. One is intimidation by those people that you're going to maybe compete against. you know, and they might be a little bit challenged because you're coming in there. So I got intimidated every which way you could possibly imagine. And it was a Disney movie. It was G all the way up until Mark and Elizabeth made out, and then he made it a PG, for crying out loud. You know, so, but, you know, intimidation, but you didn't really show it in the movie. Oh, you can't do it. Why can't you do it? Well, because, you know, you're to this or to that, and you can fill out the twos for the thises and that. So you don't have the skills. Has anybody told you that when you tried to do something? You have the skills. Well, I didn't have the skills because I was a decathlete. I forget to tell that story. But I was that, so you can't convert it to football. Oh, you don't have a right resume. You didn't play college football. I mean, really? And then it comes to this, it's too risky. Oh, you're going to get hurt. I mean, I was a pole vaulter, for crying out loud. You think I'm worried about getting hurt? I mean, that didn't happen. And it's the negativity, you know, there's just those negative vibes that people try to throw at you, you know, but here's what it all comes down to. It comes down to resentment. And that resentment is fueled by insecurity, and the insecurity is fueled by jealousy. The way I look at it, that's about the way it was. And you saw the movie, I got that note. I got that note. Never go anywhere, never make any money, you never make a name for yourself. We've all gotten that note. You know, to that was a Dear Vince. But we've gotten that in a job. Is anybody here, if you got cut from the team, whatever it might be, somebody that was important to you in your life that you tried to impress said you didn't have what it took, you know? You didn't have what it took. But in the end, you know, you get the last laugh. And that's what it's all about. We all get the last laugh. And that picture right up there is a hit after we made against the Washington Redskins and picked up the ball, and it was similar to the play that you saw in the movie. And there it is, you know, and there's that picture. For you Cowboy fans right there, that last laugh picture at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is underneath a Dallas Cowboy dropping a touchdown pass in the Super Bowls. I mean, how cool is that? So, anyway, you know, I swear when Toby Keith sang that song, What Do You Think of Me Now? That was my song, you know, so there it is. And I know it's a lot of our songs because we've already been told all that. And then the coolest thing in the world is they make movies about you, for crying out loud. And the guys that did our movie are the same guys that did Secretariat. They did Miracle. They did The Rookie. And then they came out and, you know, they started here with us and the movie Invincible, which is pretty cool. And when you think about having that movie made about you, have you thought about who would play you? You know, I thought Hugh Jackman would be the perfect me, you know? What do you think, you know? Or this guy, you know, it's Silver Lining Playbook, Bradley Cooper. He was 30 years old at the time. He was pretty ripped. But, you know, everybody in the neighborhood, they say, oh, well, it's always sunny in Philadelphia. I bet the best guy would be Danny DeVito would be the guy that would be playing me, right? And then who do I get? I didn't know who this guy was. I got this guy named Mark Wahlberg. Let's go back one slide. I was too quick on the draw. Can you go back on the slide for me, please? Can we go back one on the slide? There we go. I thank you very much. So, you know, we got Mark, you know, and that's actually me. They photoshopped his head on my body, you know. I did a little manscaping. You got a little fundraiser that's going to be going on right now. We got a couple of these that you're going to be seeing at the pool later on. So, you know, we got our man Mark, you know. He was so cool. I'll give you Wahlberg in a second. But there he was when we were playing, when I was playing, and there he is, you know, with the hair. That's a hair weave. You would have thought he had lice, you know. I mean, it took 36 hours to put that hair weave in there. He was always scratching his head. And during the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, it was really fun. The best player in Eagles history was Mark Wahlberg. And, you know, the only man that could save the Eagles season would be Mark Wahlberg, which was pretty cool. But, you know, because everybody says what kind of a guy he was. He was here at this resort just about a month ago. He stayed up there with Michael. And he hung out with her at the house. There's Vinny. You know, you saw Vinny, and Gabby was a quarterback in that scene. I had no idea. I had no idea who Mark Wahlberg was. So I go to my buddy, and his name's Rocco. I said, yo, Rock. I said, guess who's playing me in the movie? He says, Danny DeVito. And I said, no. I said, this guy named Mark Wahlberg. He said, oh, Mark Wahlberg. He said, you got Mark Wahlberg? He said, you know who's playing you? I said, no. He said, Dirk Diggler's playing you, dude. I said, what? Who's Dirk Diggler, right? He said, you Boogie Nights, man. I said, Boogie what? What are you talking about? I got kids. You know, you saw my kids there. You know, I get Disney movies. I don't have the Boogie Nights, you know, and all that. So he's, well, Marky Mark from the Funky Bunch, you know, so that was it, you know. And if you saw the trailer, you know, and you know that one hit, he got clocked. He absolutely got clocked, and he wanted to take that hit. And the guy that hit him, and all the guys, by the way, in the football scenes, they were all Arena Football League players or former NFL players. So the intense, and the action was intense, and there he was. So Mark got clocked, you know. So I always get asked, you know, what's the biggest hit that you ever took? So I'm going to get serious for just a second, because a couple years ago, in 2001, my wife Janet, she says, you know what, Vince, you're that age. You should take that test that nobody wants to take, just to see if you're okay with your colon. Well, you know, Janet threatens me to do it. She says, if you don't, I'm going to trade you in for a couple 30-year-olds. Oh, okay, you know. So I went and took the test, and guess what? Guess what they found? They found cancer, stage 1 colon cancer. And no chemo, no radiation. They took 18 inches of my colon laparoscopically right through here. And boom, and you know, in 2 weeks I'm out running a couple miles a day, and they actually kicked me out of the hospital after 2.5 days because I just kept pacing up and down a hospital floor. I thought it was about, the floor was about this size, and I just pretended I was on a football field. And after I passed the nurse's station about 25 times, I said, we got to get him out of here. So I got out, you know. So here's my thing to you. We really need you around because of all the technology that's going on, you know. So if you're of that age, 45, 50, whatever it is, and if you have history of any cancer in your family, you know, you really have to get examined. So take the test, all right? Just give it a shot. You might like it. You just don't know, you know, but just give it a shot, you know, because you never know what's going to happen, and you never know what they're going to find. Like, my back was really killing me. Here, it turned out that my father's shoe was up there, so they extracted that, and so you never know, you know. So on the football side, so I'm trying to, you know, I got Captain Jack, and Jack's trying to return a punt for the Oakland Raiders, and I got Jack just really lined up, and I'm going to get him right here. Then just when I get to about this, a Scud missile hit me, and his name was Charles Phillips. He played at USC, 245 pounds. I think he ran about a 2.340, and he ran it right through my head. And I got ear hole. You know what an ear holing is? You know when you have a ball cap or your football, you know, you wear it in the front. Well, guess what? It went to the side, and I'm looking out of the ear hole, right? And I'm looking up, and there's this guy, Charles Phillips, number 42, leaning over top of me, giving me the Rocky attitude, right? Yo, Rock, come on, man. We're counting. We're gonna get up. I'm gonna kill you again. And there's no way, we're at Veterans Stadium, there's no way I'm gonna allow this guy to think that he knocked me out of my home turf. So anyway, I go, and I just go to the bench, and I sit down at the bench, and I have that bewildered look you see up there in my eye, and I'm thinking, you know what? Nothing looks familiar. You know, and everything's in black and white. I thought he knocked the color out of my life. Yeah, you got it. I was on the Raiders bench, for crying out loud. Yes, I was. So, you know, it's apropos they call that suite the Michael Jackson suite because I was doing the moonwalk away, you know, doing the shuffle. So, true story. Yeah, it's good. I think I was concussed. I don't remember, you know, so I think I got a couple of them. I got more pole vaulting than anything. But, hey, so that was the biggest hit. I hope you like that. So, here we go, Mark Wahlberg, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mark and that, and then, you know, some of the things. We're getting into the fourth quarter here, get to the 2-minute drill in just a bit. But I hope you like this. This is Mark and me on set when he was talking about being, well, just what he's doing is actually reinventing himself from being an actor into being an NFL player. And I spent 2 weeks with him to get him trained for the movie. So I hope you like it, and it's Wahlberg Underdog.
It's just such a great role, you know. I love the underdog story, and I loved the guy, you know, the ordinary guy doing something impossible. But it was also, it's emotional, you know. It gave so many people hope.
When's the last time you wore a tie?
But I had always grown up playing football, but I'd never put the pads on. I played a lot of sandlot football, and I was excited to put the pads on. And you know what you had to do? You had to go out there. You have to be good enough to look like you could play in the NFL. And, you know, you got to be able to go out there and hit, you know. I think my makeup artist is going to get the Oscar for all the bruises and stuff, but they were all real.
Show him that thumb. What happened there?
No, the
You've been
thumb.
injured. You've been banged up a little bit out
My
here.
thumbnail ripped off yesterday. I was trying to protect this hand, which I got shattered and smashed for the second time. So I went to protect this hand with that hand. I got my thumbnail ripped all the way off, but you know, part of the game.
Hey, they shoot horses, don't they?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning feeling like Nick Nolte from North Dallas 40. You know that first scene, he crawls out of bed in his underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt exactly like that this morning. But you know what? As soon as you get out there, you start stretching out.
Yeah.
You see the field.
Yeah.
That stuff goes out the window.
Yeah.
During production, Vince's children, Gabby and Vinny, received a cameo role in the movie that was both pivotal for Vince's character and Vince. The scene was based on true events that happened in 1977.
It's such a pivotal moment for Vince because he's about to lose hope and he realizes that he's probably a little bit out of his league. But what he has, the whole entire team and organization seems to be lacking, and that's heart. And what he's done to inspire and give hope to his neighborhood and to the city of Philadelphia is pretty special. So when he sees that kid with 83 taped to his sweatshirt, you know, it's pretty special. It reminds him that, you know what, he's making a difference.
Yeah, well, it's about the dream, and it's all about making a difference. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a difference. I know, because you're getting involved with the Hurricane Relief Fund. So a round of applause to you, to yourself, for all that you're doing. And I saw some of the fruits of the labor in the back, and they're packing up some stuff. And you know, we're talking about dreams and how our dreams came true. Could you imagine the nightmares that these families have experienced right now? So congratulations to you for all the hope that you're going to give them and the help that you're going to give them as well. It's really honorable, and that's what volunteerism's all about. You know, so that was Mark, you know, and you know, what drives you and motivates you to do what you do? What do you know, to put the eye black on every day? And, you know, I had to say, nobody ever drowned in sweat. I am soaking wet up here, so this is good. I love it. I think I just lost about a lot of beers last night. But, by the way, if anybody sees me, I like a Corona Extra with a lime, so, all right? So what motivates you? You know, well, if you haven't figured it out with me, it's these people up here, you know. That's my family. That was our son, Vinny. That was the last game of the year last year. And Vinny, we'll talk about him in just a second, but, you know, it's a pretty cool picture. That's what we're all. We're a sports family. That's our daughter, Gabriella, and she just told me this morning she was in Boston over the weekend hanging out, watching the Eagles game and Eagles stuff in the Boston bar and the Patriots bar, which was fun. Our daughter, Gabriella, is a Syracuse grad, and she graduated with a sports management degree, cum laude. Very proud of that, very involved in the community. She is a big sister, which I really like that, for one of the depressed areas out of Philadelphia in Camden, New Jersey. So Gabby does that, and she's what they call the in-game entertainment director for the Philadelphia 76ers. So we have so if you go to a game and you see all the stuff that goes on the court, other than the basketball game, whether it's up on the scoreboard or it's the music, whatever it might be, there's Gabby, got her stopwatch, she's got the whole thing, and she keeps that running. So that's our daughter, Gabby, turned 25. She's my New Year's Eve baby. Born on New Year's Eve, and every year they have a mummers parade in Philadelphia to celebrate her birthday. And I saw the band come out here. I was in the green room, and the green room actually has green in it. And I was in the green room, and there the band was out there. That reminded me of New Year's Day in Philadelphia with a mummers parade. That was so cool. So it brought back great memories. So there's Gabby, my birthday girl. There's our son, Vinny. Janet says he looks like Baryshnikov in that picture. And right now, Vinny's in training somewhere in the Philadelphia area, working with a guy because he is projected to be drafted in the XFL, the new league, and he's on 6 ready teams for the NFL. As a wide receiver, and Vinny is he's an honor student, finance major, in 3.5 years at the University of Delaware, also very involved in the community and the apple of our eye. So that's what it is, you know. That's what motivates us. That's what drives us. What do you put the eye black on for? What do you put the shoulder pads and stuff on for every day? And, you know, why do you do it, you know? And a lot of it's because of the dream that you have. Well, you know, we have a saying in our house that dreams are not lived on the sidelines. You got to get into the game. So what is it that motivates you? Is it your family? Is it it's because you care? Well, obviously you care. You know, you care about yourself and your family. That's why you're here, trying to get better and reach your full potential. I'm sure you love the challenge. If you didn't like it, you know, as a reseller or a seller out on the street, you're in the wrong profession. So the challenge is always there. And the competition, you know, but you're an all-pro. You're invincible. You're an all-star team. So the competition is fun. And it's not a bad lifestyle that you have if you're successful. So whatever it might be, there's a few other things there that would probably get you to where you want to get. But, you know, what motivates you and what's your why? So think about that sometimes, which is really important. You know, there's this drive within you, this thing called potential, that just is always waiting to come out. And it doesn't make a difference what level you're at. And that's why I have this saying down here, it's never too late to get into the game. Because you could be the CEO, the president of your company, whatever it might be. You could be the top reseller in the whole goddamn world. But if you're really satisfied with that, you're going to get bowled over because of the competition that's out there. You really do have to stay on your toes and be agile. So when you ask Vince Lombardi, the great coach Vince Lombardi, what it's all about, what's potential, he said it's something that ain't been done yet, right? Or if you talk to Coach Dick Vermeil, he said potential is the greatest waste out there. We have a lot of leaders here, so think about your potential and what you're going to do to have it come out. We'll talk about that in a second. You're going to help me out on that. You know, don't forget to help the other people out there, and especially those that you're working with on your team, and help somebody reach their full potential and catch them doing something right. You know, the way I felt I was going to reach my full potential when I was playing, I had to get lighter. I had to get lighter on the field. So I had a couple questions last night. Hey, did you really wear those quarterback shoulder pads as they had in the movie? And there was a line, you know, the director says you can't, the guy that gave all the equipment director says, you can't wear quarterback pads. You won't last a week out there. And I said, you know, nothing personal, but is it really going to matter? What did it care to him? But to me, it mattered. I had to be light. I had to be lighter than everybody else. So there are the quarterback pads. Look at these things. I mean, you kidding me? This was felt, all right? That was just, you know, whatever it was. And I was running at the time on turf, I was running a 4.3, 4.35 40. Coming down full speed, just, you know, running into a guy. No wonder my shoulders, I separated the right one, and I dislocated this one. I actually redid it in a game. That's what ended my career. I was walking around like this, you know, like the hunchback. But, you know, there it is. I really did wear those shoulder pads. And why'd I do it? Didn't wear thigh pads, didn't wear hip pads, didn't wear a mouth protector. I don't even know how I still have all my teeth, but I just wanted to be lighter than anybody else, you know, and that was it, you know. So they called us the bounty hunters, and when they were showing that, when you were showing the beginning, and you saw that Who's Nuts, the trailer of the movie, the Who's Nuts thing, everybody asked about what that is, you know, and the bounty hunter thing. Well, we were basically bounty hunters. We were out there trying to just take out as many guys as we could, and there'd be no enemies. The Who's Nuts thing, that was if you made a big hit on somebody, that's what you got. You got a T-shirt. They used to, if you knocked a quarterback out of the game, they would give you a reward, or their bounty was they'd give you a car, or they'd give you a TV, or maybe a radio, depending on how good the player was. If you knocked out an all-pro, man, you got a car. I mean, it really did happen. And then, of course, the NFL put it down. But, you know, we all just did it for T-shirts and not what it was about. But, you know, you got to do it together as a team. And, you know, it all started, as I said, it started as a pole vaulting kind of a thing. So that's the bounty hunter side of things. You know, I need your help here a little bit and try to define what invincible is, you know. Right now, if you ask any kids what invincible is, you know, like the Avengers, you know. I don't know if you've seen the movie. It's pretty cool. I'm watching all the individuals to get to the end game. But, you know, there it is. You go to Harry Potter. You know, Harry Potter, at the last episode of Harry Potter, and he's got the wand. Does anybody know what the wand is called? The Elder Wand, right? And at the end, somebody says, you know what? I think it was Hermione. Hermione says, with that wand, you're invincible. And he said, nobody's invincible. And he broke the wand, and he just threw it. And he threw it away. And that was it. So, and that person that's diving off that cliff up there, no question that he or she is feeling invincible. You know, but here's what I think it is. It's a synergy of mind, body, and spirit. It's as simple as that. But what do you think? I need you to help me out, and I'll put a couple of things in there. So help me out. Shout it out. Give me 5 or 6. One word definition of invincible. What do we got? Can I have the house lights up? Let's see what we got there. Come on, shout it out. Take a risk. Blue Star, there you go, I love it. All right. Vartec, okay, we get that. We got them out of the way. All right, what else? Courage, I love it. Thank you very much. That's a good one. All right, another one. Give me 4 more. Intensity, right. Who? Okay, and what over here? What was that? Oh, determination. Okay, yeah, there it is. So there's some of the things. So, when I'm coming out, every time I do an event, I have a conference call, And I had a conference call. I was talking to Dean. Dean was there. Jack was there. Mark was there. And, of course, Steve was heading the call along with the agency that I was working with. And we were talking about things what your core values were, is what Steve was saying before I came up on the stage. And there was that one big thing about the core values. So it's trust. Well, let's see if trust pops up here in some of the things we were talking about. So one of the things about being invincible is doing the unthinkable. The other thing is doing the unfearing. It's just going out there and being fearless. That's an invincible trait. Being a good teammate is certainly, who do you play for? Do you play for the person next to you? That's what a good teammate's all about. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, there it is, trust. Right? So trust worked out there, so that's an invincible feeling. And it's certainly resolve. The resolve that you're going to get it done. That sounds sort of political. Execute, and what it is, you're not execute the person, you're executing the game plan, right? Or execute your sale, whatever it might be, or whatever your goal is. Accountability. Man, oh man, if you're not accountability in what you're doing, you're not going to be here because we got all the top guns that are here right now. Persistence, never giving up, is certainly being part of Invincible. Being a good leader, without a doubt. We have so many great leaders here. Passion, passion about what you do. Passion and energy in the workplace is so cool. Agility, we just talked about that. And that's not just, it's agility mentally, and physically, whatever it might be. That's agility. Let's see what else we have up. I think we have 1 or 2. And having honor. Honor, just having some honor. And you know where this all came from? Some of it came from SEAL Team 6. SEAL Team 6, sprinkled in with some of this stuff here with Blue Star. So that's what this invincibility thing's all about. And then it takes teamwork to make the dream work. And this is where you come in. Because, look, they're all racing here, and everybody's got an oar. I have a Navy SEAL oar. And, if it's an 8, they got the coxswain in the back. Which oar are you? Which one are you? And how hard are you pulling? Whether you're the reseller, whether you're the manufacturer, whether you're a Blue Star, whether you're in engineering, you're the creator, the dreamer, whatever it might be, if you aren't in synchronicity with everybody else in your team, you're not going to get it done. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. It's as simple as that. And I say, be an invincible teammate. She's my teammate, and I know we have a lot of husband-wife combinations and teams here. But you know what? Whomever it might be, whoever your partner it is in your life, make sure make sure you're working together as a team. Make sure that the people you're working with know that you care. That's the one thing. And it's all fundamental because we're so concerned right now with all the glitz. Don't forget to go back to the 1s, 2s, and 3s and the blocking and tackling. And not worrying about failing forward because failure is not an event. It is an event and not a person, right? The other thing is, so what's your role? And play that role out with passion, and your effort and attitude. You can control that. You can control body language, These are things that require no talent whatsoever because you can control that. Relationships, that's what it's all about. The relationships you have right here and the relationships you have with the people that you're working with out on the field. And that's it. And hustle, second effort has got to be a part of your personality. That's where the persistence comes in. And then finally, own it and crush it. And then lastly, this one right here, win the day, baby. Win the day. It's all about winning the day. And then beware of the bucket of crabs. Do you ever do some crabbing around here? You ever do any crabbing? Anybody here from the Baltimore area? Some of the great crabs there? So what happens? See this top crab up here? What happens? You try to take the crab off the bushel. What do all the other crabs try to do? They try to pull you down, right? They try to pull you down. So there it is. You got to beware of that top crab. Be the top crab. And don't be afraid of somebody trying to pull you down. And beware of the bucket of crabs. And a lot of kids, I talk to kids about this, we talk about peer pressure. And then finally, it's read the knuckles, man. And this is the 2-minute drill. Read the knuckles, man. You saw the movie, right? So the guy comes up to me, Denny Franks, number 53. We wrote a book, by the way, called The Last Laugh. So then he comes up to me and he says, I'm tired of the drill we were doing was a nutcracker drill. You know, you would just go head on head. You have the running back. You can't do it anymore in the NFL. They've outlawed it in high school football. They've outlawed it in college. And they've outlawed it in youth sports, as they should in the youth sports. But anyway, it was called the nutcracker, and we're going head to head on each other. And he says, I'm tired of you sitting, get the crap kicked out of you. He says, you got to learn how to read your knuckles. I said, what do you mean read your knuckles? I said, no, here's how you do it. And he says, if their weight is forward, you can see it in their hands. Now you can hardly see it because everybody wears gloves, right? But you can still see the body language. You can see the weight forward. That means they're charging. And when their weight's back, you can read their knuckles and see the weight back. It says you got to read the knuckles, man. So here we are. We're on like the 10-yard line, and the guy's punting from the end zone, and they're over top of me. And it really did happen. They're over top of me, and I'm looking at the guy's knuckles, and I say, oh, wait a minute, they're going from here to here. First of all, they're going to charge. They're telling me that they're going to blow back, and they're going to blow me back into the punter. And then the other one, when they go back, and their hands go back, and then all of a sudden, I know they're going to set up. So what do? Well, I have this thing called analyze, adapt, and achieve. You take a look, and you do this in business. You see what the situation is, and you see what the challenge is. Analyze it. Analyze everything you can about it. And then also knowing who you are and what your strengths and weaknesses are. That's the first thing. The second thing is adapt. That's where you got to have your audibles. You have to have your sight adjustments. You have already game plan A, but what about B, C, D, E, F, and G if A doesn't work? So you have to have that. And then finally, you got to execute the plan, get it done. Analyze, adapt, and achieve. So for me, okay, knuckles went from here to there. So that's the analyze part. The adapt part is check Zorro. Check Zorro. So what's that? Well, that's what they call an audible. So what's the audible mean? So I'm all the way on the right-hand side, and I got this guy, the tackle, a guard in the center there, and I got these two guys from the Giants over top of me talking trash about my mother, my sister, where I'm going to wind up after the game and all that, what they're going to do to us. And then I just said, well, you know what? I see it. I'm going to take a risk. And I said, check Zorro, check Zorro. So what's Zorro mean? Well, it's all these things we're talking about. I trust my teammates. I trust the person, the guy next to me. I know he's got to slide right because I'm going to boop and go up underneath of him and try to make the hit. So that's what I did. And I slid right and made the hit. And in the end, I got the girl in the end. So it worked out pretty good. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you this play and see how it actually showed up in a movie. I hope you liked it, and we're going to finish it up with this. So read the knuckles. I hope you like this. This is pretty fun. I'm going to get crazy when I see this happening up here, so watch out.
Listen up. Tight punt. Keep it safe. Safe.
This is a huge play for both teams. Watch for the Giants to go for the block.
Come in, baby. This is one. Overload right.
Come on.
What did he call?
It appears the Eagles are calling a last-second audible, changing the play.
Jack. What the hell is he doing?
And Vocali with a tremendous break on the ball.
That guy took that hit 26 times. He's still in the hospital, I heard. 26 takes.
Come on, Vince.
All right, so that's Hollywood. That's real. I had no idea what to do with a football. I didn't dance. I didn't spike it. I did this really novel thing. I gave the ball to the official. So that's how it ended, the movie. So that was it. That's Read the Knuckles, man. So I hope you like that. Thank you very much. So that's how the movie ended, you know, and then they started running the credits, and that's when I just broke down like a baby. I couldn't believe that it really happened to me, but it happened to you, you know. We've all had that happen in our lives, and as we talked earlier, you know, a lot of things have happened bad around us going on right now, especially right here in the Bahamas. So this is really apropos, you know, about givers getting, you know, about being a volunteer and getting out there involved in the community. I have a picture of my buddy here, and his name is Gary Papa. He could have been my brother if he put an L-E at the end of his name. But Gary lost it. He lost his life, and he gave up his valiant battle with prostate cancer. But he always said this thing. He said, givers get. Nobody gets better, gets more than givers. And the other thing is, the last dollar could be the one that helps the family, that finds the cure, whatever it might be. So continue to volunteer, givers get, and because it's all about the last dollar. And then finally, you know, these are all the things we talked about. I'm particularly proud of this jersey right here, because a couple of years ago, the Eagles fans voted me the top special teamer in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. So not bad from the son of a pig farmer to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. And we say, hold fast to your dreams, for if dreams die, life is like a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. So with that, have a great conference. Thank you to the All-Pro Blue Star team. When you're willing to pay the price, you were born to be invincible. You're an invincible team. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. And we'll see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
Fantastic job.
All right, thank you.